So the number 2 reason was the 67% potable water blend. The district has strived to do the best they can with the water source that they got, but here's a history from 2003 to 2011 of the red bars at the top is the potable water contribution per year, and the blue bars at the bottom is the source from the shallow groundwater well. So just continuing on this reason, the potable water contribution to the system questions the definition of a secondary system. When you're contributing 2/3 potable to 1/3
Not so
the
secondary.
source, it's not really so secondary, exactly. To quantify that potable amount a little more, 85 million gallons is used annually. 67% of that is 57 million gallons, or 175 acre feet. Just to put that in terms of use, that's 3.2% of the water that's produced and sold on an annual basis by the district, and that amount can serve 486 homes. This amount would yield $113,000 of future revenue, and the key part of that is when demand requires it. So even though if we abandon the system, you're not going to receive that revenue immediately, but over the long term, you'll receive that revenue as the demand expands. Any questions on that? No? All right. Reason number 3, overuse of water identified, like Rich said. All of the secondary systems are unmetered. We tried to quantify this. We took a total system approach and calculated the anticipated water consumption as a whole. So we looked at aerial photography, measured all the green spaces in the town of Bunkerville within the secondary system limits, came up with 29.5 acres. Bermuda grass requires 5 acre feet of water per acre per year, kind of some engineering numbers here. So we figure out our demand is 147.5 acre feet of water per year. So knowing our demand and our use, we calculate the overuse. There's what's needed. There's what's used. And so we have 112.5 acre feet that is being overwatered. This is an inefficient use by 76%, so just like you said, Rich. And then just to take this a little bit farther.
What's the ET rate of fescue compared to Bermuda grass?
I don't know that off the top of my
Also
head.
on Dock Bermuda, that's what I was curious, what ET fescue was.
In
It's gotta be
Bunkerville?
higher.
Yeah, it's going to be higher.
Yeah.
Curious.
The state engineer has done a report on that, and that's where that 5 acre feet number came from. And we'd have to look that up, but it's,
After 5 years, they're all Bermuda.
Yeah. Just a little bit more about this. The 5 high volume users only use about 10 to 15%. The residential users use 85 to 90%. So when you look at that overuse, a lot of it is probably within the residential use category versus the high volume use category. The last reason, the cost of the value system is questioned. We know that there's multiple, the ownership, which is the district that's involved in that, but then you also have the users, which are definitely going to be affected by this decision if this is how the district wants to proceed. So we're going to talk about each one of these users real quick. First, the district. Here's your expenditures, your power maintenance administrative costs, the water contribution. Your annual revenue is $67,700. And your annual net loss based on your expenditures is $88,100. Now the key part of this is we're showing that water contribution as a loss of $113,000 based on that calculation we talked about. This may not be the immediate short-term case, but again, you'll be able to sell that water somewhere. But the end result is the district's providing that water.
How did you come up with the 113,000? What number did you use to value the water?
What we did is we took that 67% of the total water used, and that's the 57 million gallons, and we times that by your base rate of $1.97 per thousand, and that came up to the $113,000. So if it was being sold out on the open
So
market,
you only valued the potable water? Is that what you're saying? Or?
that's the $113,000 that the district is contributing. Yes, yeah, we only value the
We
potable
sold
water.
somewhere else. No, that's, but he's not valuing the surface water, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Rich, on slide number 12, if you go back, he's got that calculation in there on how he came up with that 113,000.
No.
Yeah.
Would you say the argument could be made, though, that with the 113,000, that because there isn't the possibility right now to sell that water, that it's not necessarily a cost to the, or a
Direct revenue to.
direct revenue to the water district. You know, down the road sometime, there is that possibility, or there is more than likely gonna be a time that that water could be sold, and then it would be a $113,000 cost to the districts, where right now your actual cost is just the power to pump that water and to distribute that water.
But the other thing is, if that water was being used to water the yards and stuff where it's being used now, then it would be, follow me?
Yeah, but you're not gonna,
If the secondary
yeah,
system's gone, then that water have to be used through the potable system
Right.
anyway.
well,
Right, you have a portion that's unmetered. You're providing a potable water source that's unmetered, and they get to use as much as they want. If you pursue abandonment, then the usage that they receive through the secondary system will now be metered and accounted for, and they'll have to pay the bill for it. So there will be some revenue there.
but it's not gonna be 113,000.
Correct.
Because you're already collecting 6770 out of that right now, so, there is, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just an argument.
That's gonna be.
Right.
I'm not saying that that's a legitimate argument, I'm just saying that that could be an argument on the figure there, that.
Yeah.
the 113,000. Yeah.
And the other portion of that is now that if you pursue this and they have to pay for every drop they use, then the usage will go down.
Once again, we make money by selling water, so we don't want that.
Well, this one though, they could use as much as they want,
Yeah.
and pay the flat fee, so it would actually be beneficial.
Well, and as we've talked before, Aaron, that there's some that they're actually gonna, their water bill may go down from what they're paying now on their secondary system. So,
Right.
I mean, there could be a wash there, but once again, you still have a loss every year on the system right now, so.
Right. A little history of the power that's used to work in the secondary system. 3 years ago, the district was paying a higher power bill. That reduced down based on some changes they made to the pumps. So this is your average annual cost. And the only thing we're showing this is if you didn't use the secondary system at all and you were only pumping potable water through there, it's not going to cost you anymore. That's the only reason this slide is here, is to say that, hey, by abandoning the system, you're not paying more money for pumping costs.